It's NASCAR on Prime Video. Cup Series practice, followed by qualifying at Phoenix Raceway. A few wispy clouds and otherwise a beautiful day. Temperatures headed for the mid-80s on this unique doubleheader weekend. IndyCar this afternoon and NASCAR Cup Series tomorrow. Beautiful day in the desert. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Choi. He's Clint Boyer. And with us is the Pharaoh of Phoenix, the king of the desert, the guy who owns all the camels and all the horsepower, Kevin Harvick. What, 9 wins here?
Very selfish.
And just about every record in the book. All right. Tell us how to get around here.
Well,
nobody knows better.
Yeah, well, this practice and qualifying session is really difficult because you're going to go out on the racetrack. These cars are going to fire off fast. And then the racetrack is going to start to change. The temperature is going to start going up. So your job as a driver is to go out, get your marks, get your rhythm, and have a good plan as to what you think might happen for qualifying, because it won't be as fast as what happens first thing in practice.
Well, okay. Are we going for 4 in a row? Who are the hitters here this weekend? We've been all over the place. We've been 2 super speedways, obviously another wild card kind of event last week at COTA with the road course. Who's our guys? Are we back to business here, Kevin?
Well, I think we have a lot to learn. I think the Chevrolets are still a question as to whether they've got their balance right. First short track, who's got their short track program together? So we got a lot of questions that we need to answer.
Blaney, folks, keep an eye on Blaney. I think he's a favorite for this weekend.
Well, the Penske cars in general, Joey and Blaney, the last time they got to run for a championship here was decided on the exit of the last pit stop. So I got to know, before we get to the track, you guys were teammates. How much did it chap your cheeks that he was so good here and everybody else was trying to catch up?
Well, certainly very selfish at this racetrack every time he got out here. But, you know, this was my first track that I ever went to, working for RCR back in the old configuration. But the uniqueness of this racetrack, Kevin, with both ends being so drastically different, that's the appeal to this place, right?
And I think the big thing for me when I drove here was how hard could I drive in the corner and still get that left front tire to the yellow line. You have to put that tire on the yellow line in order to make lap time. So big balance there in being able to drive in the corner, but also make your car turn at the end of the first third.
So here's the big news story this weekend. Alex Bowman had to get out of the car last week at COTA. Lyon Snyder in relief. And during the week, during some medical tests, it was discovered that Bowman has vertigo. That they say is unrelated to what happened last weekend. But the vertigo did not clear up in time for him to prep for this weekend. So Anthony Alfredo is in the car. He has 43 Cup starts, 2 top 10 finishes. There is Bowman's record so far this season. 3 Cup starts, 2 top 10 finishes. There is Bowman's record so far this season. Alfredo ran full-time in Cup for Front Row in 2021. Now, he is the simulator driver for Hendrick Motorsports, and because of this place being the championship decider, has probably more laps on the simulator at Phoenix than anywhere else. Also, the Hendrick folks said that he fits Bowman's seat insert, and they don't have to reconfigure the car for him. But it was announced Thursday that he would drive the 48 this weekend. That is, of course, Alex Bowman's seat whenever he is ready to come back. And shame that he has to miss his home race. He's from Tucson.
It is, but a wonderful opportunity for Anthony Alfredo. Sorry, I'll get this out. Going to here. Look at Connor Zilic. This is a racetrack where we know his bread and butter, Kevin, is the road courses. We expected him to be strong. He proved that last weekend at COTA. He got knocked out, never got a chance to prove himself up front because he couldn't get established. Every time he got to the top of the hill, they'd wipe him out. Come to this circle track right here, and pretty good on the short track, huh?
Yeah, and you know, I think he's had some tough finishes to start the season, but he was really fast at COTA last week. I think talking to him, he understands that his cars have run good. He hasn't got the finishes, which obviously puts a lot of pressure on you, but he's had some decent speed in everything that they've done so far up until this point.
There's a look from the Wendy's cam on board Connor Zilic. Let's check with our crew chief, Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, Mike, 25 minutes, a lot to do in a short time to get there, but the big focus is going to be on these 4 Goodyear tires. You only have one set for this practice, and the question is, how low can you go? The more you lower the pressure in these tires, the more grip you have. Now, when we were here in November with the same tire package, we had issues on the left side. In the race, we had issues on the right side. The problem, you lower them down, that's more grip, but the problem won't show up until well into a run, so these guys have to make a long run to see where they're at with air pressure. The other variable is 80 more horsepower, more loads, higher corner entrance speed. That's another variable, November.
Well, they're back. Kyle Larson standing here. Of course, the guy with the best memories of when we came here in November of locking up your second championship. Kyle, you've been very good here at Phoenix, very consistent. How do you approach this practice session with some of the newness that's going on this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, for us in practice, just hoping to kind of migrate to a happy place with your balance. And yeah, we've finished well here. We've been consistent, but I haven't really felt like it's a great track for us. So yeah, hopefully we've adjusted on our setup the right way, and we can go be good, and you and I can do a better job also behind the wheel. So just trying to get to the rhythm here today, and then lay down a good lap in practice, or sorry, qualifying.
All right, good luck in practice and qualifying.
So the field is split into two groups. There are 37 cars here total.
Not bad here for Spire Motorsports.
No, not at all. Look, this is a difficult practice session. Larry talks about the more horsepower and the more brakes and everything that goes along with that. But right off the bat, the Spire cars have fired off well. And like Larson talked right there, the most important thing in this practice is to try to figure out where your balance is at, but also where it's going to go. So you'll see these guys run their fastest lap, 4, 5, 6, 7. As the air pressure come up, you see them go through the dog leg right there. They're all taking care of their tires right now. They're not going to want to go on the apron because it's a big shot with the car bottoming out right there for the driver. But B, you don't want to tear the bottom of that car up, and you don't want to hurt the left rear tire by spiking it, getting onto the apron right there. So Spire cars look good right now.
Daniel Suarez, top of the chart. 26.877, 133.9 miles an hour.
I'm glad you went there, Mike, and check this out. Lap 11, lap 12 is the fastest laps that he's covered so far, Kevin. Track's picking up. Air pressure's coming up. What do you think that is? Rubber coming off the racetrack, all the above?
Yeah, well, I think that, as you look, the fast laps were pretty early in the run right there. So I think that it was interesting yesterday to hear the O'Reilly guys talk about the IndyCar rubber and the difference in rubber all weekend. I know the O'Reilly cars have run since those guys were on the racetrack, but this could be a very confusing practice session.
I'm glad you said that.
Spire Motorsports, Suarez hosts of our Chastain, 3 of the top 4 spots early in practice. Welcome back to NASCAR on Prime from Phoenix Raceway. This is Group 1 practice. The 37-car field split into 2 groups. 25-minute practice for each, 15 minutes to go. In Group 1, Spire Motorsports, Suarez Hocevar Chastain at the top of the chart, along with Briscoe's Toyota and Cindric's Ford. A look at turn 3, Clint. Why are you watching this carefully?
Well, because it's the tightest corner, right? Very tight compared to the other end. And this is so important in the balance of the car. You see the cars, they'll come in here, run right, and hook that bottom. See a lot of cars shooting up already. Are they sliding in? The balance of this is very tricky, Kevin. Walks through it.
Yeah, and I think the most important part is right up here. As you look at the, I'll get this figured out here. As you look at this wall right here, the beginning of that wall was always my reference point, because you want to have that left front on this yellow line right here, because there's a little trough right there, and if you can get that thing locked in while you're on the brakes and go right back to partial throttle, you can wrap that line. So there's very few cars that are actually doing it correctly.
Like right there, you saw him wrap the line, but the balance, going back to the balance of this racetrack, the trick is you want to roll that middle well. And all of a sudden you keep freeing up to do so. Now you're loose in, back over there in turn 3 like you were talking about, and even into 1 and loose off the corner. Very tricky to match both ends of this racetrack with them drastically different the way they are. There you go. There's that line you're talking about.
Yeah, and if you can get that left front locked on that line and then drive it out to the flag stand right here, that's really what you want to do. But you have to be so patient, and the balance of the car to make sure it's not loose on the entry right here while you're downshifting, and being able to make it turn right here in the center of the corner and be able to drive off without sliding on that right rear, really, really hard to achieve.
This fella's been making some noise this year. Had a good start to the season, Zane Smith.
He's done a great job, and you see him right there, right on.
Oh, no.
Right front tire.
Well, this is exactly what started happening last year, and right now is probably best case scenario for all these guys, not having to drive on the apron like they're going to have to do on the restart. All the things right now are pretty good conditions, other than the fast lap is going to be a fair amount faster than what they'll run in the race tomorrow, but only 16 laps on Buescher's car right there, so right front tire's flat. Larry?
Yeah, Kevin, he had told Scott Graves it's tight. Of course, that just adds to the load on the right front. Plus, if they were way down on air pressure, that's what led to this failure.
And you want to take as much low air as possible. So we've seen this over last year's races as well. So
here's
not something
ball.
that we've not seen before here. We've seen right fronts, we've seen right rears, we've seen left rears, and that's purely from the teams trying to get that air pressure as low as possible to keep the car low, to keep the car turning.
That one right there ultimately determined a championship, right?
Sure did.
But that's greed, Kevin. That's not necessarily, that's not a Goodyear tire fault. That's these teams. The reason you run those pressures as low as possible because it makes grip.
And you see that wall right there. That was always my reference point. This was one of those racetracks where when I would find my entry points, a lot of good markers here. You'll see it going into turn one. There's cones on the outside wall. I would use this sign right there as my turn-in point and get that left front right on that yellow line, maybe a foot off the yellow line to be able to come back down. You see Zane using the aprons. You got a lot of options in turns 1 and 2 to manipulate the car to do what you want it to do.
Now, late in the run, he and his teammate Todd Gilliland are 2 of the 4 fastest cars on the racetrack.
You know who else is fast? Exactly who you told me. I talked about Blaney at the top of the show. You said just keep an eye on all of those Penske cars. Austin Cindric, you see him, well, there's a tire, but you see Cindric, best consecutive 10, 15, and 20 so far. That number 2 car, Penske. There he is. Pretty good on a long run, Kevin. That's what you're looking for.
And what Blaney and those guys always seem to do better than everybody else is they can keep the balance of their car better throughout the whole run, but the end of the first third, right where you want to let off the brake and go back to partial throttle, that car has to turn right there in order to make lap time. And you know, I've been watching Austin, and his car will just stay lower at the end of that first third part of the corner, which keeps you lower through the center, which lets you get to that partial throttle, keep that mid-corner speed up to the 5/8, 3/4 mark of the corner. And when you see the Riley Herbst in front of him up the racetrack a little bit, keeps that left front fender in the air and helps that car turn.
You hear Kyle Busch talk about finishing the throttle, and that's exactly when I heard you walking us through that corner. I went right in the back of my mind of Kyle Busch saying, I need to finish the throttle. If you have to come back out of the gas, especially in 1 and 2, you're in big trouble.
Penske on the pole for this afternoon's IndyCar race, has a chance to double up here in this unique meeting of IndyCar and NASCAR.
See him moving around already quite a bit. Kevin.
Yeah, and you know, you can move around right there in 3 and 4, but that probably won't work throughout the race. The other end right here in 1 and 2, you've got to be versatile. You can't just ride behind somebody. The front end will not turn. You've got to go up the racetrack. 1 and 2 is the end that you really want to do that on. You see him up the racetrack right there. Only thing that he's learning right now, because you've got to be versatile in turns 1 and 2 to be able to win this race and get through traffic, because you're going to get stuck in traffic at some point. This end right here in 3 and 4, I mean, when they sprayed the top of the racetrack, you might be able to make some lap time up there, but I always looked at trying to make my car really good in 1 and 2, because that's where you're going to make the passes and make the lap time in traffic to be able to do things that other cars can't. 3 and 4, you're kind of going to need to be locked to the bottom and just take what you can get right there to try to manage the gap to tackle it in 1 and 2 to make a pass.
I'm with you. I really like what Briscoe's trying. He's moving all over the place. Again, you can't drive through them. You're going to be mired in traffic at one point or another in this race, and you have to be able to make some speed in a different part of the racetrack and keep that air on your car, which is exactly what he's working on.
Carson Hocevar second on the speed chart here. We listened in on his radio.
Any big issues or complaints? I felt like I was just really sensitive to being straight, just not a lot of roll speed with right rear grip. I had to be really pointed straight with throttle. Okay, 10-4.
Very common. You know, it's a long ways to the 5/8 to the exit of the corner in turn 2. So you got to get that car partial throttled as much as you can until you feel it rotate, and then you pick your eyes up to drive it as straight as possible so that you can open your hands. Cars are very sensitive to getting your hands open to be able to get those rear tires to consistently drive.
Regan?
Well, just to add to what Carson Hocevar said right there on the radio, guys, something else that you always have to worry about here at Phoenix that he's already mentioned, brake shake, having a little bit of trouble with that. And Kevin, Clint, you guys know like I do, once you have that brake shake, it can make anything the car's doing feel way worse when that starts happening. Right now, they're going to try and manage it with the fans is what they're talking about.
Yeah, and that's miserable here because
bet.
you have to be able to use the brakes in order to manipulate the car. So when those brakes are shaking, it rattles the wheel in your hands and makes it difficult.
Hocevar has 5 Phoenix starts with a best finish of 15th, but he's right near the top of the chart in this practice. Welcome back to Phoenix. Group 1 practice with 5 minutes to go. Riley Herbst out of his car. He got into the wall, right in the outside wall, right between turns 1 and 2. And flat left rear tire was the cause.
Pretty lucky here. You can see him getting into the corner into 1. He's already way high. It tells me that left rear tire was going down. Probably sensed it. Could have been way worse there.
That could have been way worse. And he's lucky that he just wound up with a few scrapes on the right side of the car. Also, you know, we see a lot of guys moving around the racetrack right here. This one's from air pressure being too low, but we see a lot of guys moving around the racetrack right here. Also hard on the right front tire, also hard on the right rear tire because the track doesn't have a lot of rubber up the racetrack. And like I say, I think it's unnecessary in turns 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, it is definitely going to be able to move around.
You see that left rear tire was wrinkled up and really squat. I mean, you have to. That's where the juice is. You have to run these tires as low as possible. You have to be careful on the apron, Kevin. We've seen a lot of these failures and heard a lot of crew chiefs tell their drivers, take care of my tires, stay off that apron for the first few laps around this place.
And as many laps as these guys have run on a tire, in turns 1 and 2, that apron is also something that I would start testing. Not only do you need to be in the middle to the 3/4 of the way up the racetrack in turns 1 and 2, but I always like to drive in on the apron, be able to get that car to grab that right front tire. As that line rubbers up down here in 1 and 2, you'll be able to get that car to grab that right front on the yellow line, and then you can manage and manipulate the throttle all the way around the yellow line to just kind of get it locked in. So a lot of things that the driver can do here on that end of the racetrack to really help the car. But you can see that left rear tire, just how low they still are. I mean, that car of Chastain has run 35 laps, and that left rear is still wrinkled up.
Wow. But it's all right, best consecutive. Who is it? Right there, 30 laps. It's Ross Chastain, P1.
So our production and replay folks put together a really neat animation that shows you the tire fall off from lap 1 to late in the run using Daniel Suarez, who is fastest. So starting all even, the middle car is on 10-lap tires and the back one is on 20-lap tires.
And that's why you'll see right here the difference in speed of 10 laps and 20 laps compared to fresh tires. Now you got to know at the beginning of this run where your markers are. I was a big marker guy here. And when you see this drastic amount of speed change, you've got to use those markers because the fresh tires are what you need to base off what you want to do for your qualifying run. But as you go through this run and you go back and look at these lap times to say, okay, I was good in the 10-lap run, 20-lap run. I was too tight. And then you go back and you look at all the data and you see somebody who was way better than you on a 20-lap run. Well, they were using more brake, less brake, driving in further. These guys will go back and study all that tonight, but you're going to have to go a long ways. You're going to have to go 70 laps, 75 laps, you know, possibly on a set of tires. So it's going to get to a point where it plateaus off, but different markers, different speed that you have to adjust to inside the car.
All right, so we have two groups for practice. If you're one of, let's say, Chase Briscoe's teammates at JGR, what do you want to learn from him or from listening to his radio and from the comments that that team is making that's going to help you when your group comes out on track?
Did the tires blow out? Can I let some air out of my tires? If his tires didn't blow out, I want to let mine blow.
Okay, how greedy can we get here? First and foremost, and that's true. That really is the way it is. But I want to hear his balance. I want to hear if he's tight or loose in 1 and 2. I want to hear how his throttle is. If he's loose off of 2, can he get into the corner? Braking is such a big thing here with more horsepower, as Larry told us about. Braking's going to be even more of a bear this time around.
So riding with Eric Jones, we've got some radio from Connor Zilic.
My biggest thing is just off the corner. I struggle to get the power down. I've got a little bit of, I think, shock contact on entry. Like, it's just kind of bouncy. It doesn't feel great. My center is decent. I feel okay through the middle of the corner. But yeah, I just struggle off.
As soon as you tighten that thing up off the corner, what's it do, Kevin?
Well, the first thing I would tell you is get the entry right. Like, you cannot start working on the rest of the corner if you can't get in the corner hard here. You've got to be able to drive the car in the corner. Otherwise, it takes the brake pedal out of the equation of being able to manage the speed of that car on entry. Like when we were inside of Eric Jones's car right there, you see that just a little bit turn to the right, and that's why they'll split the brake pads and different things. If that car is edgy right now, it's going to be miserable in the race, but it takes all your options away of being able to drive in hard, slow the car down, back your corner up, use less brake. You've got to have options with that brake pedal, so if it's not good on entry, you're in trouble.
You lose your consistency. You take that entry away, it's different every time you enter.
All right, Group 1 is done. Spire Motorsports, Suarez and Hocevar win practice. Group 1. Full speed comes to prime. You'll see several NASCAR Cup drivers tackling the great American race, the Daytona 500. You can stream the new episode now only on Prime. Fastest in Group 1, 3 Chevys with Briscoe's Toyota and Cindric's Ford. Larry?
Yeah, Mike, we talked about the air pressure, and Goodyear tells these teams do not go below 14 PSI in the left sides, 30 in the right front, or 26 in the right rear. But we know they go much lower than that. Goodyear gives them information that tells them where the durability is and where the performance is. Now, what Goodyear will do for these teams that's had an issue in practice, even if you didn't have an issue, they will cut the tire apart, and that will tell them if it was a truly over defection of the sidewall from low air pressure, or if it was camber or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great tool, because basically if you go out and run your car and you cut that tire apart and it doesn't look like there's any issue, you're dumping air out of that tire until they're right on the edge of doing this.
So Chris Buescher with a right front tire during that practice session. Riley Herbst with a left rear. They're not bad tires, we just do bad things to them, is what Larry always says. Group 2 practice coming out next.
Later tonight, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series hits the track to battle it out under the lights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the CW.
We're between Group 1 and Group 2 practice. Let's go downstairs and join Regan.
Well, Mike, the driver that was 5th in this practice session, Austin Cindric, that 5th place number, though, not the one that we necessarily want to look at. It was the 10, 15, 20 lap averages. Your car was the quickest. How fine was that line out there of being able to go quick and manage the tires?
Yeah, it was an interesting session. Obviously, kind of unloading with IndyCar rubber. It's probably the most, like, guys have been hesitant to go out early. But yeah, obviously our Corey Extreme and R4 Mustang had really good speed for all 3 phases of the run, and see what we have to do to adjust on it for tomorrow. But going out 4th in qualifying is going to be real tricky for us, so hope to maximize that and try and give ourselves some good track position for tomorrow.
All right, good luck in qualifying. Thank you.
He had that Team Penske shield on his hat. This is a big weekend for Team Penske. It's their 60th anniversary. And Roger has a beautiful group of dealerships out in North Scottsdale, and the Penske Racing Museum is there. And tonight, that's where they will celebrate the 60th anniversary of Roger Penske's team.
Yeah, he needs a big turnaround. 31st in points. I like what I'm seeing out of the Cinder car. He needs it.
Be a big event for all of their IndyCar and NASCAR teams, celebrating a great, rich history. Welcome back to NASCAR on Prime from Phoenix Raceway. So, what do these teams in Group 2 learn from Group 1? We listened in on Ryan Blaney's radio.
What gear they're in, I just see the blip when they shift. They were shifting to 5th down the backstretch pretty much the entire run. We're in the pose like we usually leave it 4th after 15 or so laps, but maybe the horsepower, right, it just runs out of gear. Shifted more. I saw the 35 going to 3rd and 3 and 4, but it's the only one.
Well, you got a lot of options, and this sport, racing in general, never quits evolving. I always used to tell our guys, evolve or die, and so from a driver's standpoint, and being in Group 2, that's a good thing, because you get to see what everybody else is doing in the first group. Now, I always preferred to leave it in 4th gear. Maybe the power has changed some of that, but we heard Hocevar and some of those guys still leaving it in 4th gear. Going down to 3rd is pretty aggressive, from 5th to 3rd. So I always thought, and in this car, when we drove the Fords, they were always tight. So you had to downshift to 4th gear to get them to have any chance to turn in the center of the corner.
But to his point, and going back to the horsepower, that's the difference, in my opinion. I mean, you heard him say it. Accustomed to always seeing him just kind of leaving it in 4th, especially on a long run. You're getting there faster now, more horsepower.
I'd probably still leave it in 4th and let the engine shop yell at me.
Oh, and then you're going to yell at them when the thing blows up.
Exactly.
Whose fault is it going to be?
It's going to be theirs.
I remember a conversation with, I think it was Lou LaRosa, was an engine builder for Childress. And he says, yep, it's one of two things at the end of the race. It's either we won or your engine blew.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you saw Joey Logano there on pit road. He's checking his pit road speed. Tricky pit road.
Mr. Three-peat, Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, you see.
Nobody's done, winning the first 3 races of a NASCAR Cup season. Never happened. Now it has.
And you see the back of that car bottoming out as he goes through the dog leg right there.
When he cut that off, it sure did. Tell you what you see. You know what you get after a three-peat? I think I want my name on the side of that thing a little bit more. Pretty good looking hot rod.
Got to be really careful with the back of these cars with that diffuser and everything in the back. You want to keep those strakes as long as you can. That's what makes all the downforce on these cars out the back. So you want the car, everything is such a balancing act in trying to get the car as low as possible, the air pressure as low as possible. You see the back of this car bottom out right here. I mean, I always wanted to be as tolerant as possible for the car bottoming out, because the lower it is, the more grip it makes.
But what's the dust? What is that little smoke that came out of the back of that thing?
Yeah, most likely that's going to be the carbon fiber, but it's also going to be a little bit of the rub block ripping the asphalt up. See Tyler right there, way up the racetrack, not where he wants to be. Sometimes these cars can take a little bit to really get the front tires working in order to get the car turning through the middle of the corner. When those tires are low, like they all want to run them, makes it really difficult to turn.
You know, when you're watching these cars go around the racetrack and you hear Kevin talking about the importance of the back of that car, those strakes, not rubbing that off, you have to remember, and it's hard to see this, 65% of the downforce is underneath the race car. Over half is made underneath that race car, not going over it like we've had in years past and we've sold over the years.
And the proof of that was Reddick's win at Atlanta without a right front fender. Didn't matter. That had a lot of people shaking their heads. Let's take a ride with Joey.
Absolutely. Coming to the start-finish line right there. Up to 5th gear.
23, Blaney was at
Downshift into fourth.
3 and 4 was much better that time.
See him have to make a little correction. A lot of little bumps going into turn 3 that you have to kind of manage and modulate the brake pressure to get over those bumps so that the car doesn't step out or just miss the bottom of the corner. You see Joey's car through the middle of the corner right there, never really having to turn back to your right until he gets to that transition from the center of the corner. Really big deal in these cars and trying to anticipate when you go back to the right and going back to that throttle so that you load that right rear tire in the back of the car correctly. You see the over rotation that he has from tight through the center of the corner. You'll see it again right here through the center of 1 and 2. But this transition, when he goes, you got to go back to the right in order. That was a better lap for him right there when he transitioned back to the right to get the car loaded up for the exit of the corner, and it didn't snap the wheel.
All right, let's go on board Denny Hamlin and compare, contrast him with Joey's run.
Yeah, here he's already much more aggressive back to the gas. So a couple different styles here. You can let it roll through the center of the corner. That's the strategy I prefer, not upshifting to
left in gear.
The car will turn better. It'll brake better. It'll do everything better into turn 3. See him adjusting his brake knob right there. Quick downshift for Denny, not wasting any time getting that downshift. Not quite as aggressive back to the gas right there. So we expect this car to be a player as you go through time. The other thing that rev limiter does on the back straightaway is it keeps you from overdriving the entry of the corner.
Boy, it's got to be sore getting out on this racetrack. I mean, if there was ever one taken from anybody, it was a tough one to watch last year, going for that championship with this driver and everything that it meant. And that man right there going for their first championship together after all these years. They were so close.
Led 2/3 of the laps, was in the chase all day, was leading at the right times. And then, oh, this guy, William Byron, blew a tire, set up that last caution, and we all know the outcome.
Opened up that strategy window.
Yes.
You know, as that can be the hard part about leading these races and dominating those races. You get so confident in your strategies. You see that right front and Denny coming out of the pits. I think he was 11th.
It was over.
Yes. Ninth on the restart.
9th on the restart, and he just wasn't able to get through traffic and take advantage of those tires with the amount of laps that were left. But devastating moment for the day that they had to not win that race and the championship.
Redemption time.
Got to have a short memory.
All right, so the Group 2 drivers in white, the Group 1 drivers in gray. The difference about 1/10 of a second or so. Welcome back to Group 2 Cup practice. Here's the fastest car, Ty Gibbs. And coming into this 4th race of the season and off his finish at COTA, 4th place, he is the highest Gibbs driver in the points coming to race 4.
Which, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this, not even in the top 16 of playoff.
And
that'll change after this weekend.
You know, I think that the 54 car, I mean, it's shown a lot of speed, and now it's just for this team, it's just about putting a whole day together to put themselves in a position to run through the whole day and win a race like your teammates have, right?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. So see Ty moving around the racetrack. Last lap he was down on the apron. We saw him right here in 3 and 4 just get a little too much apron right there, and that can be detrimental. We've seen makes him lose, but we've seen some of those guys crash in qualifying when they hit that apron like that. But you got to have that left front tire right rubbing that apron in order to get that car to really rip around the bottom in 3 and 4. Larry?
Yeah, Kevin, they've been working with Ty on where to run the race car. They were telling him his teammate Denny Hamlin is running much slower in 1 and 2. They asked him to go down there and try to run right on that white or yellow line.
Ryan Blaney won here last fall. And if he's not in your fantasy picks this week, get out the eraser, because Blaney has 5 top 2 finishes in his last 7 races here. He's not a lock, but coming into Phoenix, pretty close.
Yeah, and I feel like this is just such an open weekend, but Blaney's done a good job on the long runs. No matter how we've raced, where we raced, when we raced, we see him up the racetrack on both ends, just trying to get some data from the driver's standpoint, what the car does to have those options. You've got to be versatile. You're going to hear me talk about it a lot today and tomorrow, but you got to be able to rub the apron with the left front right there, run the yellow line, right side's on the yellow line, up the racetrack, and this car has been notoriously good through the center third of the corner anywhere we go.
And I feel like he's able to drive a looser race car than a lot of these guys on the racetrack today, and that makes him versatile. He can move around, he can make time in the center of the corner, and while everybody's waiting on their car to rotate because it's tight, he's back on the throttle and got the thing rotated and is able to pass a lot more cars than normal. Keselowski
trouble turn 3, and right it's Brad. Yeah. Caution out.
Right front into 3.
Sure did. Same as his teammate, Chris Buescher.
And that car's been struggling. Brad's 34th on the board, and like you said, his teammate. So definitely a common denominator when it comes to right front tires in the team. That car's hit the wall pretty good, Clint.
Here's a look at it, the orange car.
There it goes. You can see it headed north. Wrong direction of tires down. It's on the splitter. You're on the brakes, and it's like a ski long for the ride at that point. You see him locking it up. It just won't stop. Again, I think it could have been worse, but yes, a hard hit. Be interesting to see if we can repair that car, if that's a backup.
And don't forget, Brad's still recouping from that broken femur in the offseason.
And that's not easy. That's that right leg leaning into that right side. That hurts.
All right, we'll ride along as we go to break. Ooh. Give you some ones to watch here in Phoenix. Ryan Blaney, the stat we mentioned earlier. Christopher Bell, double spring winner. William Byron, best average running position in this car. And Denny Hamlin with the heartbreaker here last fall. Kyle Larson, the only driver to end up in the top 5 in both races here last year. And of course, Mr. 3-peat.
I've been watching the leaderboard here on a break, and Larson, I mean, this Hendrick in general isn't exactly where I thought we would be this far off the truck so far, Kevin. Best car is Elliott Knight.
It's like we've been talking about, though. New body. Got to get the balance right. These cars are super sensitive to get the balance right and know what you need. You can go through all the CFD, all the wind tunnel, all the planning, everything that you want until you get it on the racetrack and see what the tendencies of this race car is and what it does and learn all those things. It's hard to get that right. So don't forget, last week at COTA, we talked about the Toyota cars and how bad they were in practice.
Way off.
By the way, Tyler Reddick got the pole. So these guys have a lot of tools in their bag to be able to adjust that car for qualifying.
And let's put this in perspective. We apologize. We don't have lap times due to a data transfer issue that we're working on. But Larson is only 3/10 off the fastest time of the entire practice with his fastest lap. So it's not like they're deep in the hole, but they're just a bit off.
I'm glad you say that, and I don't look. In practice like this, I don't care about the fastest time, and I don't think they do either. Show me best consecutive 15, 20, 30 on out.
Let's not forget, we knew that the racetrack was going to fire off really fast today. The first 5 guys on the top of the sheet are still from that first session.
Absolutely.
So, and we know that the majority of the good cars are in this session. So the racetrack was faster in the first session. That's what can be so confusing about Phoenix. When it's cool in the morning, you know the Indy cars are here. I know the O'Reilly cars have been on the racetrack, but the Indy cars have made more laps. So it can be a very confusing racetrack to know what you need to get right. You can get screwed up in a hurry and be a little bit deceived because of the difference in the first 2 sessions.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, but looking right here at Chase Elliott, I'm telling you, best consecutive 15, 20, they have work to do with the Hendrick camp. Not one car on that list.
And I'm not disagreeing with you on that part, but You know, I believe, you know, the Spire cars have been the highest on the board in the practice sessions, but they're still learning what this car needs, and you never know.
And will adjust.
Yes.
And these short practice sessions, that's the one thing you don't have time to do. You go out there and you make as many laps as you can. You get good tire data for your crew chiefs. That allows them to make the correct adjustments for the rest of the weekend.
Now here's the other one that's on my bingo card besides Blaney, is Bell. Winner of the last 2 spring races here. And all season he's had speed. He just doesn't have the finishes to show for it.
And that's exactly right. 24th on the sheet. Look at this season right here last year. We were on 3 wins in a row for this car, not Reddick. So needs to turn around, and this is a good track to do that.
Top 5 finish in 3 of the last 4 races here. Larry Mack.
Yeah, Mike, Brad Keselowski. Brad, 22 laps right front, just like your teammate Chris Buescher. Any signs at all that was happening?
No, it's really surprising, Larry. We know we saw Chris had issues and pumped it up with a bunch more air to make sure we wouldn't, and you know, even tried to go slow for a few laps to build some air and not abuse it, and not sure why it would blow.
Backup car, repair?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain. I mean, their NASCAR is kind of going through it all now, but the front clip's bent on the steering shaft, so most likely yes.
Mike, that's the story from down here in the garage here, buddy.
Well, boy, he impressed me last week. He really gutted it out because, you know, driving while you're recovering from an injury at a track where you have 22 shifts per lap, turning left and right, and he gutted it out, got a great finish.
Definitely the test of all tests right there. Running as hard as you can, no brakes there. Only one real caution that we saw in that race other than the stage brakes. All those drivers, first hot weekend that we saw, a lot of them probably made some adjustments over last week between last week and this week, Kevin.
Yeah, and nobody's going to deny the grit of Brad Keselowski, but definitely got some work to do on their cars and the speed that they need to be competitive.
Kyle Busch 17th on the board, right behind Bubba Wallace. Fastest lap separated by 1,000th or so, 2,000ths.
And Bubba's had a great start to the season. You see right there the finishes that he's had, but I don't think that those reflect the performance that they've actually had with the 23 car. The majority of those first 3 races, or first 2, especially Daytona and Atlanta, he ran at the front all day long, contending to be the leader. So COTA, they did exactly what they needed to do, had a solid day. They know that they're not going to go there and win, qualified well, did everything right, and that's paying off for them in the point standings.
Look at that stat, 70 points from first to second, and 2311 occupies both positions at the top of the board.
Well, we went back to the chase format, made the wins worth more, and Tyler Reddick's won them all. So, you know, he's
simple as that.
He's definitely put himself in a position, because you're going to have to be in those top 6 or 7 positions in order to win this championship when it resets after race 26.
What a pad, though.
There is a bigger gap first to second than from second to 25th. There's a look at that lead. Okay, to 27th. Wow. 20 drivers all packed in there, separated by just 31 points. And a lot of changes at the top of the board and a lot of work to do. But we're only 3 races in of 26 that will decide who gets to compete in the chase for the cup.
And as tight as that second through 26th or 7th is, I mean, you have a good weekend, you score stage points. Saw it from Ty Gibbs last week, right? He went from, what, 32nd, 33rd in the points to 17th. You're going to continuously see that thing shift up, you know, from in those points positions. Not going to see the leader change for a while, but everything else is definitely going to get mixed up as we go on these next racetracks.
So not only Jordan Brand on the 45 car this week, but watch for a first time ever Jordan Brand commercial in a NASCAR race this Sunday on our Fox telecast.
Well, I think he's finally comfortable, right? Yep, we're going to be all right over here. Let's go ahead and start. That car looks extremely loose. No! That's the left rear. See the left rear touch that and go around? But he was loose a lap before that. I saw him get really bent out of shape.
Stop right there.
What's going did a good job of keeping out of that inside wall.
Yes.
I don't think that tire's, it's up. It's not down, yeah.
No. I think he was just, you know, these cars, you can slide them a little bit, but when they get to a certain point, they're going to spin out. There's no saving them at that point. You see a little bit of some blue paint right there on that right rear quarter panel, but it looked like he got loose really early in the corner right here.
I watched him even before this get really loose. We crossed that apron
and just lost
underneath of him. It was loose.
Got to be really, that apron makes these cars do weird stuff. You want to use it, but it's loose. It was loose, but really as he was on his way down to the apron, and then the apron just amplified
him off.
Everything that was going on.
And that paint scuff happened sometime earlier. It was not part of this spin. Tyler Reddick turns it around in Group 2 practice. Less than a minute to go in Group 2 practice. As in Group 1, all of the fast laps were set during the first 4 laps of each session for both groups as Tyler Reddick climbs out. Spun the car around without contact and without having a flat tire.
That's when the
session comes to a close.
That's when you know, Mike, things are going pretty good. We spun out, no harm, no foul. Who cares? We didn't hit anything. He's not worried about it. They're not worried about it. We're going to go back and look at some data, worry about the balance. We're still making good decisions.
Still, though, this is a crazy sport, and it can humble you so fast. You know, you win the first 3 races in a row, and the next thing you know, your practice is done because you're backwards spun out on the racetrack. Yeah,
we were the caution. Happens fast.
Another look at it here. All right, the flags are out to end Group 2 practice. There's a look at the leaderboard. Ty Gibbs fastest in Group 2, Daniel Suarez in Group 1. For those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook, coverage will continue on Prime Video with qualifying for Sunday's race getting underway shortly. It's a landmark weekend for America's 2 biggest racing series, IndyCar and NASCAR, back-to-back on the same track. IndyCar today, NASCAR tomorrow. On the Fox networks from Phoenix Raceway, enjoy the Desert Double.
There they are. What a wonderful weekend, Mike. I've wanted this for so long for motorsports. Everybody wins. Best ticket there is so far.
I hope you have some real issues in that ride along today.
You do?
I do.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for this. I'm already nervous about it, Kevin, and that's where you're going to leave me.
All right,
what a friend.
There's a look at the fastest cars in practice as we get ready for qualifying. Let's check with Larry.
Yeah, Mike, Chase Briscoe. Chase, 37 laps, 3rd quickest. The good news, all the air's in the tires.
Yeah, definitely that's an improvement from what we had in the fall. Yeah, I don't know what to think of our Bass Pro Shops tracker Toyota. I thought the one-lap speed was good, but we really struggled on the long run. So I'll admit I did not think we would notice a huge power difference. And I mean, it feels like there's way more than 70 horsepower, whatever it is. We're driving it, and this is the most wore out and slick and sliding around we've been here. So it's gonna be fun tomorrow for sure.
Yes, it will, Mike. Remember that first career win here back in 2022 for Chase.
Thanks, Larry. Backup car being pulled out for Brad Keselowski. Now, each team brings a backup car. That's why it's not wrapped, because they don't know who might need to use it. It'll be ready for tomorrow. Rolling out to qualify at Phoenix. Downtown Phoenix, not far from Monument Hill, here at the foot of the Estrella Mountains. Let's take a look at the team story this year in the point standings. Well, 23-11, we know that, with the big lead. Team Penske has 2 drivers in the top 6. Spire has all 3 in the top 10. Great start to the season.
Yes, sir.
Same for RFK, all 3 in the top 16. Then there's Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing. with work to do.
Sure seems not around.
Kind of seems weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. How is this going to work? And more importantly, how do we leave this weekend? What's this look like? I think it'll look different. Very impressive. You said Spire. That is impressive. But for a new group, right, and just inside of a few years, doing a great job. Off to a great start this year in 2026.
Qualifying coming up, Anthony Alfredo will roll off first. Tyler Reddick will be last. Welcome back to Phoenix. They're all lined up, ready to go. We're talked out up here. Let's go to Regan.
Well, Mike, I'm down here on pit road with Josh Berry, one of the cars that has to go out early. Penske affiliation, though, you are always so good here. So how do you adjust now from what you did in practice to get ready to go make one quick lap?
Yeah, definitely it'll feel a lot different. I don't feel too bad about our qualifying draw, really. You know, it's still early in the morning. We're not one of the first cars, so hopefully we can do a good job in qualifying like we did last year and you know, get us a good starting spot and have a good race on Sunday.
All right, Mike, 3 top 10s in his 5 starts here. This has been a really good place for Josh.
Yeah, it's his best track for finishes. Kyle Busch talking it over. Was top 10 in both races here last year.
Well, we saw, and Kevin, you alluded to it earlier, we saw the difference made in last week's race with Reddick. Those Toyotas unloaded off the truck way off. Their whole weekend changed when Reddick put it on the pole, and it happens right here.
And you heard Josh Berry talk about okay with this qualifying draw, but what happens right here, all these first cars are going to pick up the rubber, and as this session goes, it should get faster, but be interesting to see where these Hendrick cars and these Chevrolets in general pick up.
Anthony Alfredo substituting for Alex Bowman, who has vertigo issues and will not race this weekend.
Well, I can promise you that right there is not good for whether you have vertigo or you are healthy. When you go down to that apron, it feels like somebody takes a hammer and just jams it into your back as hard as these cars hit the ground right there.
That's the stunner all the way up the back. A lot of pressure on this kid. Step in this car. What's the goal, Kevin? What do you need to do? Finish all the laps. Stay out of the wrecks. Don't be a wreck. Get me the best position possible. Great opportunity for Anthony Alfredo.
1 round, 1 lap. 27:088. Eric Jones has 4 top 10s at Phoenix, all coming in his first 7 starts here.
Yeah, and that was about a 2.5-tenth pickup for Alfredo from practice. So this place can be tricky if you're in that first group as to how much your car will actually pick up compared to what the guys in the second group pick up. So
saw him wiggling that wheel back and forth through 1 and 2, trying to get some temperature in this thing, loose up off the corner with the throttle. That hurts that straightaway speed. Boom, back across the apron.
Kevin, I could tell that hurts you sitting up here.
Yeah, it pains me to watch him have to do that every lap.
Car looks loose to me, Kevin. A lot of sawing on the wheel. Nervous getting in, a little bit light on its feet up off the corner. See him a little bit loose there. Not a lot of wheel to the left.
Jones second by less than 100th of a second.
Stopwatch shows it. I think he's gonna wish he had another opportunity at that.
Yeah, and it's so hard when you're in that first group to understand where your balance needs to be, because really those first 2 or 3 laps are the only reference point that you get as to what the fast lap is going to be and what you need for qualifying, but didn't pick up but a 1/2 tenth right there for Eric Jones.
Chase Briscoe for JGR had a great run at Austin, started up front, led a lot of the race, got his first Cup win here, as Larry pointed out, but he's finished outside the top 15 his last 3 starts here.
Car looked a lot smoother. Up off the corner of 4, putting the throttle down a little bit loose in, moving up the racetrack.
Yeah, he missed, and it's not going to hurt him as much compared to the cars that he's going to, but a lot of that depends on where you're at after you come off that apron as to getting your car back out to the wall to enter turn 1 correctly. Yeah, it can be a couple things. He could have overdrove it, or he didn't get his angle right getting in the corner.
26.897 for Briscoe.
Yeah, and that's right at just less than 1/10 of a second for Briscoe. So
This is going to tell us. This will be the first one. He was fast in practice. Teammates were fast in the second group. I look for these Penske cars. Oh, Mike told me at the beginning of this show, Penske's on fire. This is their racetrack.
And for whatever reason, they always seem to be able to pick up more time than some of the other manufacturers with what you do to the car and things on the Ford side. So be interesting to see what this lap time is right there. Easy into 3 to be able to get that car angled to get off the corner good. Coming to the green.
The ghost car Briscoe at the top of your screen. He's fastest.
And you can see how Briscoe missed and drove it up the racetrack versus the two that wrapped the bottom.
And Briscoe actually did a good job of not losing more lap time than what he did. See, Cindric missed the bottom of the corner right there.
Watch this.
Austin Cindric qualified 4th here last fall. He is fastest, 26.731.
P1 right now.
Time will tell.
And that's a little over 2.5 tenths for Austin from his lap time in practice. So I think that's going to be about what it probably needs to be for the guys at the top of the board, but got to find a little more if you weren't up on that timesheet.
Well, and especially if you tell me that the track's going to pick up just because of the rubber being picked up.
Cody Ware finished a Phoenix best 24th in this race last year. His best result at this track for Rick Ware Racing. Remember, they have switched from Fords to Chevrolet this year. Cody is 5th, 27.182.
Yeah, and you see these speeds right now. We're about 2 tenths faster than the pole speeds were last year. So you can see that power, more horsepower, and the things that they've done with the car. A little bit faster speed.
So here's Ross Chastain, who won at Phoenix in the final race of 2023, but has just one top 10 finish in the 4 races since.
Mike, I was impressed with him. Showed some speed right off the truck in practice. See if he can back this up. You know he's going to be aggressive.
And sometimes that can be, as you see him up the racetrack, really late apex, trying to make sure he gets a good run down this front, I guess you call it straightaway.
Yeah, right.
But you gotta balance that aggression of overdriving the entry of the corner.
Very disciplined there. Didn't overdrive the corner. Didn't carry the speed. Cindric got in deeper and carried the speed all the way through. Cindric missed down here a little bit. See if he can wrap the bottom. See, discipline getting in. Does it pay off? Here he comes.
They should be pretty close at the line.
Not quite.
Yeah.
And Chastain is second by 2 100ths, 26.757.
And even though Cindric missed in 3 and 4, you just don't. You don't get to take advantage of it because you don't have to go all the way down the front straightaway. You just have to get back to the start-finish line, which isn't even halfway down the straightaway here. So
last week, the 3rd RCR car was Jesse Love. This week, it is Austin Hill, who's been really tearing it up on the super speedways in the O'Reilly Series, but he's making his first Cup start of the season and his first at Phoenix. He has 6 top 10s in 8 races here in the O'Reilly Series.
Got your number back out, Clint?
Yeah.
You see him really shortcut right there, but didn't get all the way back out to the wall.
Rushed to the gas early and paid the price. Had to lift back out of the gas. You could tell by the point in the car. When that thing headed up the racetrack, it wasn't pointed, couldn't keep the throttle down. Really hurt his straightaway speed.
And that's the hard part going from the O'Reilly Series to the Cup Series, just the difference in the technique of everything that you need to do in order to qualify these cars well.
And it happened that fast. As soon as he rushed that throttle, you could see that front end take off. We're in trouble. Have to lift one more time.
And it was really 2 errors. He didn't get all the way out to the wall. The car was pointed, and then he rushed the gas. So there was a couple things that definitely didn't go right for Austin Hill headed to the center of turns 1 and 2.
Hill is 4th at a 26.959. Now, Cole Custer won a race here in November 23 in what was then the Xfinity Series. He has 8 Cup starts here with a best finish of 9th.
I never liked the strategy. Whoa! See that car get loose up off the corner for Cole. You can just see how Austin gets all the way out to the wall and has his angle, and he's using more racetrack to get the car turned in the corner, but Cole having a lot of trouble right there.
Yeah, that was abort the mission.
Boy, we talked about how those Penske cars just wrapped the bottom and hugged that line. Harvicking the track, I think, was the verb we invented for that style of driving.
Yeah, well, I think the whole Ford camp, we worked a lot, really all the way back to when we started at Stewart-Haas to get those techniques and to get the brake pads right, to get the car handling in the right spot on the racetrack, and they've just taken it to another level and really capitalized on it at this racetrack for several years.
Custer's lap 27.516. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished 17th here last November. That's his best finish in his last 9 starts here.
See Ricky kind of take his time, getting the tires warm right there, back the corner up, taking that late apex strategy to get the run down the front straightaway. He got loose as well up off of turn 4 right there. See what he does, getting into turn 1 right here. Just not all the way out to the wall. And that would be exactly what I'd be telling if it were my drivers watching right now. If you're going to use the apron, you got to get the car back out to the wall to get the angle correct getting into 1.
And you don't have to look any more than that ghost car right there is Cindric. He got more of an arc getting into the corner. He actually got in the corner deeper than about anybody out here, but made the bottom of the track, to your point, and was able to wrap the middle because of his arc getting into the corner.
Stenhouse is 4th, 26.899. Somebody said on a podcast this week, it's time to get on the Zane train. Here's Zane Smith. 2 top 10s this season, and he finished a Phoenix best 9th in this race last year. Yes, that's SpongeBob and Patrick on the helmet, kids.
Zane's a great guy, very talented behind the wheel. Doesn't surprise me in the least that he's finding some success, some speed, getting comfortable and confident in these Cup cars. He got right out there to the wall.
Yeah, but he never got it to the bottom.
Ah, there's your ghost car upper right. That's a different view.
Yeah, he was able to get off the corner better than he probably should have. Turned in a little sooner right here, but we saw Austin go up the racetrack. Zane's able to stay down the racetrack. Does a pretty good job, but just missed the bottom in turn 1.
He is 5th with a 26.906.
Austin was very aggressive, Cindric, getting into both ends of the corner, and was able to carry the speed and not slide right up the racetrack to get the throttle down and finish it.
Let's check with Regan.
Well, Mike, Connor Zilic getting ready to go make his qualifying run here in just a little bit. Connor, I saw your teammate Ross Chastain second on the board. You were watching your iPad pretty intently. What were you looking for there to prepare yourself for your lap, and did you learn anything?
Yeah, just to see, what guys are doing. There's a lot of ways to slice 1 and 2. A lot of different lines you can run and how deep you get into the corner. So just trying to see what's working best right now. Our Wendy's Chevrolet was good in practice, so hopefully that puts up and we can get a good lap for qualifying.
All right, Larry, he was 12th on the board.
Well, Regan, I'm here with Joey Logano. Joey, 19th quickest in practice, but what about 1 lap speed?
I mean, you never know until you get out there. I did feel really good about our Shell Penzo Mustang. It's had really good long run speed, so I felt good about that part. Short run, I mean, you go out there and it's, the track's kind of dirty for the second run, so it's hard to say what you're going to have for speed, but got confidence in Paul and those guys that we'll get this ride. It's a cool looking ride too, by the way. We got the Scott McLaughlin Bathurst 1000 throwback scheme, so it looks really neat to try to pay a little tribute to the 60th anniversary.
Mike, he's a 4-time winner here, 2 in this Gen 7 car.
Looks a lot like that Australian supercar, does it not? And carrying McLaughlin's paint scheme. All part of the Team Penske 60th anniversary that they will celebrate tonight over at the Penske Museum in North Scottsdale.
I think it's actually better looking than their normal car, personally. That's a good looking paint scheme.
60 years of taking care of business in every shape and fashion, right? I mean, nobody does it better than Roger Penske, and that museum he has over there is unbelievable, Mike. Nobody knows that better than you.
You know, before Team Penske started, Roger Penske was one of America's best sports car racers. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was New York Times Race Car Driver of the Year. Had a great driving career, and he just put it all on hold, and he said, I can get a driver, but I need to take this dealership and build it. And my gosh, what an empire.
There's nothing that man can't do.
I agree.
I mean, he has been good at everything. Always.
Saw him yesterday on the way to a charity dinner where he was speaking to raise a lot of money for Folds of Honor, and he drove in with a couple of much younger passengers, a couple fellows that worked for him. But you know who was driving that Porsche Cayenne? Roger.
Because he's a captain.
He's Roger, that's right. All right, Josh Berry, a couple of top 10s here, 3 of them. His most at any track, including both races last year.
And you see Josh Berry kind of do the same thing that we saw Austin Hill do. He got back to the throttle early, but he's right there with Austin Cindric. We know that Cindric was up the racetrack, but Berry's even more up the racetrack.
Third, 26.814. 2 Fords in the top 3.
Not bad.
Nope.
Not better than he was. 33rd in practice.
And that's what we see a lot with these Fords. They're able to rebound, and we saw it with Tyler Reddick. So we can't just say it was Fords. We saw it with the Toyotas last week. So you just never know in these qualifying sessions.
All right, guys. Here's my pick.
Here's Clint's pick for the pole, the Hurricane. Carson Hocevar, 10th in points. Finished 15th here in March 2024. His best finish at this track.
Spire cars all unloaded off the truck in practice really fast.
You hear how early he let off the corner. He's really taking the back up turn 3 coming to the green to a different level. We'll see if that pays off for him as we get into turn 1.
Yeah, look at the difference it makes. Do not overdrive the car. A little bit of discipline here. Great job. Get it woed up. Don't get to the gas too quick.
Yeah, and he was a little shallow getting into turn 1. Kind of as you get past the center of the corner.
We're still in it. Austin, you remember he left a little bit on the table down here. Back to the throttle. It's closed. Had to lift at the wall.
Third by 2 100s. 26.758. Hocevar started top 10 in both races here last year.
He put him up front. He's going to ruffle some feathers, and I'm here for it.
Todd Gilliland finished 17th in this race the last 2 years. That's where he finished last week at Austin after a decent start to the season at Daytona. For front row.
Here, Todd, he was in the corner hard, left it in fourth gear, and I like that strategy. We see a lot of cars loose real late off of turn 4 coming to the green.
Just trying to be aggressive, right? I mean, you're in a qualifying lap, the thing starts to slip, but you can't afford to let out of that gas.
But you see what you pay for when you're sliding up off of turn 4. It just hurts the whole straightaway speed after you take the green, and you just never make it up.
Gains a bit on entry here, but
looks loose down here as well.
And Gilliland will be 9th with a 27.041.
Car just never looked comfortable to me. Looked a little light on its feet all the way around the corner, both ends.
And they're so hard to drive. These cars are so hard to drive when they're not perfect. And that one's up on top of the racetrack and sliding around. So definitely some work to do on that 34.
Riley Herbst won a Saturday race here, November 2024. Has 2 Cup starts here. And got up into the wall between 1 and 2 when a tire went down in practice.
And that's hard to rebound from. Wash your mind from that. But again, the last time you're on the track, the tire went down, you almost wrecked. You got to reset, reestablish your marks that Kevin told us were so important. That's hard to do.
See a little earlier turn in, which should wash up in the middle of the corner a little higher.
Got in the corner really hard.
Yeah, got it in there a little bit too deep and a little shallow compared to the 2 car. Fired it in. Well, that's just our data. Messing with my mind.
Hopefully.
And Riley is 7th right now, 26.902.
It's got to be so precise getting into turn 1. Cindric just does it so well, being able to get that car out all the way wide. Nice arc getting in the corner, but it gets to the line. You gotta drive it in hard, but it's a balance of how hard you can get in there and not miss the center.
That balance and grip level builds that confidence in the driver too. And we've been covering it. These Penske cars find that grip and that balance better than most at this racetrack in particular. That helps all of that confidence when you're entering these corners. Kevin, it just reminds me of you and where I started in this sport every time I see this car every week.
Yeah, and you see Austin way lower on the racetrack through the dogleg. Can he get it back out to the wall? Gave up about a car length right there and just going to pay for it through the center of the corner. Cutting the dogleg is one thing, but that was too much in order to get the car all the way back out to the wall correctly.
And when you say out to the wall, you can see the arc difference. It puts you in the corner straighter than the 2 car, which makes you point the wrong direction. When Austin's thinking about getting back to the gas already, the car's done its business. Everybody else is headed north waiting on that to happen.
26.948 puts him right on top of his teammate Hill.
They're trying. They can't put both ends of the corner together to knock him off of it, can they?
Most every run that we've seen so far is pretty much over by the time we get to the corner of 1 and 2 compared to what Austin Cindric has done, because he did such a great job of getting the car off the apron, back up to the outside wall, and getting that arc correct into the first corner.
Yeah, we've definitely seen them beat him down to that end, but they never leave off of 2 better than him. But I also think that he left a little bit on the table in 3 and 4 if somebody's there for the taking.
So here's Noah Gragson for front row. He has 2 top 15s in 3 races this year, and in 5 Phoenix starts, a best finish of 12th.
Yeah, and I always like to be in the right line coming to the green to get a better reference on my car. I know what they're all trying to do, but that loose off of 4 will just kills the whole lap.
And when you loose off of 4 like that, you cut the corner off, which is exactly what he did getting into 1. A little bit nervous, cut the corner off, straighter entry, paid the price.
Yeah, you see the left front tire lockup right there, really up the racetrack because of that.
His teammates are 8th and 11th right now. Gregson is 15th, 27.207.
Yeah, 15th out of 16, so that's going to be back of the pack by the time this is all said and done.
With a car that's struggling for grip.
Chris Buescher for RFK and Ford. 4 top 10s in his last 5 Phoenix starts. Was the runner-up here in this race 2 years ago.
Great race car driver, always consistent, and by far, again, this weekend, the best RFK car, 11th on the sheet in practice.
But he had that right front tire failure pretty early in that practice, so not a lot of time to figure out exactly where this car was going to go. So this will be an interesting qualifying run.
Is that grilled cheese on the side of that thing?
I don't know, but I'm hungry. I'd like one.
I think it is. Yeah.
That would definitely be a grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese sandwich.
You know where Mike's going.
3 right here. Yeah.
Very disciplined right there through the center of the corner. At least able to stay close to that 2 car. Missed the bottom a little bit right there getting in the corner, but we know Austin Cindric did as well.
And Buescher is 5th, 26.875. That's 14 hundredths off of Austin Cindric's current pole time. Daniel Suarez was fastest in Group 1 practice, and he is the highest Spire car in the points, 7th, new to this team this year.
Well, they've done a great job of putting themselves in a good spot from a point standpoint. Had some solid finishes, and with the new team, new driver, new everything combination, that's what you want to do. You just want to not put yourself in a hole to be behind all year.
And anytime you make a change, you're always nervous. So when you get off on the right foot the way they are, boy, it sure puts a lot of concerns, a lot of nerves to bed early.
They got a great run to the green flag right there.
Look at here. A little bit of greed in the center of the corner, but he's still right there, Kevin. Here he comes.
Now let's see if he can hold the bottom better than Cindric in 3.
So close.
2nd by 1/100th of a second. 26.744.
About got it. Great lap.
Connor Zilic making his first Phoenix start in the Cup Series. He finished top 5 in both of the Saturday races here last year.
All right, you guys go get your grilled cheese. This is where I'm headed. I'm headed to Wendy's. I am so impressed with this kid. Kevin, you've sold me on the road course abilities. You've watched this kid grow up. This is what I needed answered. I want to know how good he is on our ovals. Unloaded off the truck. Was really fast right off the bat. Very impressive.
Well, if you're going to go back and study, you need to go back and study Suarez's lap, just like Zilic did right there. Really back that entry up a little bit. Look a little loose.
Got loose.
But that coming to this green strategy by the 7 car of Suarez should change everything that everybody does.
Did you see him reach up and pull his helmet down? That's how hard it hit when he went across that front straightaway apron.
Yeah, and that's the first time that he's probably done that in the Cup car. So got to get that helmet tighter.
7th, 26.882.
That just shows you how hard that is. Boom.
Checkered.
Let's check with Regan.
Well, Mike, Tyler Reddick going for 4 straight this weekend. Already set the record with 3 straight wins to start the year. Doing everything seemingly perfect this season so far, and even a spin there. You made that look perfect. Didn't hit anything. What happened in the end practice spin there?
Yeah, just trying to get the balance on our Jordan Brand Toyota Camry a little bit closer. Yeah, practice those moments when you can kind of learn, explore, take risks that, you know, can alter your day pretty severely in the race. So, yeah, let it slide a little too far, but that's okay. Yeah, I rolled it back down pit road, found an opening, and fired up and drove back, and threw stickers on it for qualifying. So.
Well, we're really glad that you didn't damage that Jordan number 45. It's a great-looking race car, Larry.
You can hear Ryan Blaney. Ryan, good long-run speed, but now it's qualifying. This old track temp just keeps going up.
Yeah, it's definitely getting slicker by the minute, so we'll see. But I thought practice went fairly well with our group. Discount Tire Ford Mustang, I thought had good pace in it. And I feel like we have a little bit of wiggle room to try to get it to drive a little bit better. So yeah, overall good start to the day. Hopefully we can lay a good lap down here. Yeah, I definitely think like added horsepower. You saw a lot of fall off, like comers and goers. And so I even think with tomorrow, the track being slicker for the race, I think it's going to be even better racing. So I look forward to that. But overall, good start to the weekend.
Guys, all I can say, everybody keeps giving thumbs up to the more horsepower.
Wow.
Yep, we're almost there. Great step. Need some more.
Finish it by next year.
Yeah, let's get about 150 more.
Denny Hamlin waiting his turn. Joey Logano. That is Connor Zilic, who's just completed his run.
Yeah, he learned a lot on that lap about how hard it is to drive that thing onto the apron. Got a little piece of the wall right there coming to the green. Really easy to do out of turn 4. No harm, no foul right there. But you know, you want to open that wheel as much as you can, and you know you don't want to lift right there. So definitely not uncommon to hit the wall right there at some point. Everybody probably will.
We continue with John Hunter Nemechek. He'll be the 20th driver to trip the clocks here. He finished a season best 17th at COTA. A Phoenix best 14th in this race last year, and he's been in the conversation this season.
Yeah, they've done a nice job. All right, Clint, so he's taken a different strategy compared to Suarez, which I think was the best strategy coming to the green. See how low he goes on the apron, not quite as low as Austin Dillon, who was probably the lowest.
Very shallow entry into 1.
He carried good speed through 1 and 2. Wrapped the bottom right on the line all the way around. Obviously didn't quite get where he needed to be against Cindric, but I like the way that car wraps both ends of the corner. Does the slide out from underneath of him. Well, it's a solid lap.
He's the better of the 2 Legacy Motor Club drivers. 26.858, 6th right now.
Yeah, if you're going to get the pole, you're going to have to be aggressive. But if you're not going to get the pole, I'd rather you be under aggressive than over aggressive and keeping the car right in the right place through the center of the corner. Ryan Preece, way different strategy. He's put some heat in with the brakes and spinning the back tires.
Reminds me of I'm a Saturday Night Special short tracker right there.
X-modified race.
That's
Modified,
right. I agree.
Now, Brad Keselowski is scheduled to be the next car, but after his crash in practice, they will not qualify the backup car. His teammate at RFK Racing, Ryan Preece, 5 top 10s in the last 8 races, dating back to last year. He was 9th here last fall.
Just rattled a chip. You look over, you see him in 4th gear. As soon as you hear that chip, you know they didn't shift. Tell all sign.
Didn't quite get to the green quite as good as the 2 car. Not same tendencies as all the other cars. Not out to the wall quite as much. Didn't get that nice arc into turn 1. But a fairly good lap for the 60 Ryan Preece.
It's a solid lap. Hit his marks. Behind the wheel of the race car, that's a solid lap. Hit his marks. I don't think he had quite the speed and the grip that 2 car had, but he didn't make any mistakes.
And now we have times 26.837 for Ryan Preece, just 1/10 of a second off the current pole speed of Austin Cindric. Ty Dillon has finished 16th or better in every race this year. There's where he started. So punching above his weight for Colleague Racing. Good start to the season.
Well, we saw AJ Allmendinger run well, so Colleague making the best out of the start of the season so far with both cars with some decent performance. See him back that corner up into turn 1. Didn't quite get going as good as Cindric. He took the strategy of just running the normal race line coming to the green. So got a little work to do on this 10 car.
19th at a 27.133.
I think that was an interesting comment by, as we watch Kyle Busch with his tire warming strategy, and everybody's got a theory. We saw Preece, now we see Kyle really working those tires in. I always just wanted to go straight, spin the tires, drag the brake, go in the corner, because I always felt like when the car was compressed, it got more of the tire warm than just the inside of the right front tire when you're sitting there scrubbing the tires. But whatever works, you got to do you.
For me, I had to be in my rhythm. Everything was a rhythm, so I wanted to go out there and do exactly what I needed to do for my qualifying lap.
Kyle finished top 10 in both races here last year.
See him not quite as low as a lot of the cars on the apron, and that distance or speed both combined got him about a car width behind getting into the corner.
Tried to go to the gas down there and it just wouldn't accept it. Had to come back out of it.
Yeah, and a lot of times here in qualifying, you're waiting on those front tires to turn, and you want to go to the gas, but it just makes it worse. You got to wait until the car is finished turning.
Well, the 3 Childress cars are all right together. 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Funny how that works.
2-time Phoenix winner Denny Hamlin finished top 10 in both races here last year.
So close. What a heartbreaker. I've raced against Denny Hamlin. I've seen his houses. I've seen his boats. I've never felt bad for Denny Hamlin until last year at that championship. Man, I felt bad for him.
Well, they did everything right except for, be on the right strategy and finish it off to be in front of Larson for the championship. And that's gut-wrenching, with everything he had going on and had the type of day and performance that he had in that car. It just ripped right out from underneath you there. Last part of the race on a restart.
Well, in the trucks, 4 tires on that last stop was the right call, and he leads everybody onto the road, takes 4, he zigs, everybody else zags.
Well, he's on a good lap, really loose off of turn 2, gave up all the time that he had over Austin Cindric.
Still close.
And Hamlin is 6th.
Yeah, he had his hands full right there.
Just run out of real estate.
Just ran out of real estate off of 2.
He is the best Toyota so far in 6th place. Temperature climbing, track temp up 10 degrees from when we started.
Yeah, and we heard Blaney mention that, and we were talking about it. You know, is it the track getting cleaned up going to be more beneficial than the temperature going up in the racetrack, or is the temperature in the racetrack going to slow the track down? So,
well, you tell me. That was my question on the break, and you didn't answer me.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'm just going to watch all these cars and see who.
It is real, though.
It
Both
is.
parts of those equations are very real. The rubber comes off the racetrack gaining grip, but it also loses it on the other hand because of the temperature.
And we started so early in the morning that, you know, it was still fairly cool when we shot off in this first practice.
One thing you do not lose track of is this 24 car and his consistency. Very good here at this racetrack. Very dangerous when you see him going to the front like this. Got a little greedy up off the corner, couldn't complete the corner, but can he come back to him in 3 and 4?
William
Very
Byron
good track
won this race in 2023. And he'll be fifth. 26.791, 6 100ths off the current pole.
Much like Denny off of 2.
All right, Clint, here we go. We got the 22 car of Joey Logano. We know Cindric was probably the best Penske car in practice.
I still think, going back to Cindric, his teammate, as early as he went out because of the position, that's an impressive lap for him. He put that bar pretty high for everybody, including his teammate. Let's see.
And we saw right there with the 24 car, I mean, it is a beatable lap. If you can get through turns 1 and 2, just being even, you know, Cindric did not get everything that he could in 3 and 4. So it is beatable. You just got to be there at the exit of turn 2.
Joey Logano has 4 wins here.
Great job getting to the green. He got up the racetrack higher. Going to give up a little time through the center of the corner. Gained it back on exit to minimize that loss.
We're on a heater. Finish it.
Well, heater is right. Is the heat of the day a factor? As he comes to the line, top of the board, 26.561.
By good measure.
Pulled it out right there coming off turn 4.
Yeah, that's a big lap. And that shows you the difference in the racetrack, in my opinion, from when Austin Cindric went out, the track being cleaned up. So the answer to your question, Clint, it seems like the cleaner racetrack is more beneficial than the slow rise in temperature.
I agree with you. If I'm Austin Cindric and company on the 2 car, I'm still proud of our lap, given the time that we went out.
We're going to have the fastest ever pole speed for this 7th generation NASCAR Cup car.
I like that, Mike. Thank you.
It's Christopher Bell, winner of this race the last 2 seasons, top 5 in 3 of the last 4 here.
Looked a little sideways off of 4, excuse me. Boy, I still have trouble with that sometimes. A little bit sideways off of 4, but got into the corner well, wrapped the bottom. You see how the 22 diamond that corner. Now we have a new, right, the benchmark has changed a little bit.
Yeah, and you just see that 20 car of Christopher Bell. We saw it with Denny Hamlin too. He was very loose, and he managed it about the same as Hamlin did, but definitely not as much grip in those cars in the rear.
And they are right together in 8th and 9th. Joey Logano has taken the pole from teammate Austin Cindric for now. Boy, look at the pounding these drivers take as they drop down to the apron. No out of bounds for the NASCAR Cup cars here. For the Indy cars, below that yellow line is a no-go zone. But boy, and there's why. Yep, takes a pounding. Joey Logano fastest, taking the pole from Austin Cindric, but those 2 Fords right now have the front row with 9 drivers to go.
It was always so interesting for me when I drove these Fords and in this Gen 7 car, just how much they would pick up in qualifying from where you practice. We saw those cars both run fairly good, and you talked about Joey Logano thinking that he was pretty good on the long run. They always do a really good job of the air pressures and things that they have with the balance of their car to be able to pick up a fair amount more speed than a lot of people in qualifying compared to practice.
All right, Fords first and second, Chevrolet positions 3 through 6. The best Toyota is Hamlin in 8th as Kyle Larson rolls out.
And these are the cars that we had a lot of questions about. You see him back that corner up a lot like Suarez did to be able to get that run to the green. That was very productive for Daniel. Put you lower on the racetrack. He's way down the racetrack like Austin Dillon was.
Didn't quite get the arc the same as Logano. But we're right there. Got back to the gas good. Car answered the call.
And Logano just beat him into turn 3.
Just inched him down there.
And he will split the Penske cars up front, 26, 6, 7, 8.
A 10th.
For Larson, so.
He was 18th on the board in practice, so good turnaround for the 5 car.
A.J. Allmendinger 8th in the point standings. Coming into Phoenix, 3 finishes of 19th or better. Clint, you're huffing and puffing. Oh, I see. You had to squeeze into that driver suit for your duty this afternoon.
What the hell have I gotten into, Kevin?
I'm not sure, but it feels like you're in it awful early.
Well, I'm ready. I think that's nerves.
Come on, Kev. He's got autographs to sign, I'm sure.
They're putting me in one of these space shuttles, Kevin. I'm a little bit nerved up about it.
I hope that it spins out or something.
No. You hope? No, I don't hope that.
I'm not hoping that you wreck. I just want to see something spectacular happen, because that would go right along with this CDS syndrome that
I'm afraid something spectacular might happen in the seat of that thing. I'm a little bit nerved up, folks, but they're going to put me in. I go for a ride along in the 2-seater, and I'm looking forward to it.
Look at this. Look at that. Wow.
Look at
now, that's
still
impressive.
Fit, Kevin. Look, huh?
Did you ever think you'd be riding in a car? When's the last time you rode in a race car that was under somebody else's control?
Buddy, I don't think I ever have, and I don't like it. I don't think I can see anything.
Is your name Lightning now? Is that? No.
Lightning?
Yes, yeah. Okay.
That's Lightning.
All right. If you say so.
I don't know what it says.
It also
but
says
I'm excited about it,
there.
folks. I'm back. I got my fire suit on. Let's hope I don't need it.
You look official.
I am official.
We don't want to see impact. We want to see Bubba Wallace qualify here. A.J. Allmendinger is 18th. Bubba Wallace 11th or better in all 3 races this year.
Yeah, they've done a great job. They performed well. You see him right out next to the wall. Just never quite got to the bottom like the 22 car did. It's almost like he just didn't turn into the corner quite as good, or missed his turn in by just a little bit, and it kind of hurt the whole corner through 1 and 2.
But eventually you just give up on it. It scrubs too much speed. You got to go ahead and go to the throttle and take what it'll give you, even if you aren't on the bottom.
Wallace is 22nd with a lap of 27.021.
Yeah, and that's going to be a long day. I mean, at this race, track position is so important. A lot of the winners come from the front of the field as we watch Ty Gibbs get that AM/PM car up to speed.
He finished a season best 4th at COTA. He is the highest JGR driver in the point standings after 3 races.
Are you an AM or PM guy, Clint? I'm going to use your line.
I am a PM guy.
Okay.
I like me an AM, though.
Big cut of the dog leg right there for the 54 car. Got to get that thing back out to the wall.
I think you can do that too much. Whoa!
How about that?
Great wrap around the corner, though. Lock that thing right on track, Kevin. You talked about that earlier in practice, and when that thing, it's almost like a rail. Once you get into that channel, it really grips and rips.
Yeah, and just gave up all the time on the exit of the corner right there.
Do you think he stayed too low then?
I mean, it just, I don't know that the entry actually hurt him as much as just trying to rush the whole middle third of the corner, and then he gave up at the 3/4 mark all the way to the wall by not being able to have the throttle down.
So Gibbs is 12th. He is the 3rd fastest Toyota, as Ryan Blaney, last November's winner here at Phoenix, 5 top 2s in the last 7 races here.
Well, we don't necessarily always see him qualify as well as his teammates, but we know in the race he is going to be the car that you have to watch with the way that this car usually handles on the long run. A little bit loose off of turn 4 coming to the green.
Doesn't surprise me. Always a little looser than everybody else. I think that helps him get up through traffic like you were just talking about. Did not help him with the straightaway speed in the corner. Wraps the bottom good. That's that looseness. Can he stay with the throttle and finish it?
Same thing as the 54 car. Got through to the 3/4 mark and just too much speed to put the throttle down to get the straightaway.
That baby diamond that Logano did, honestly, on both ends of the corner, seemed to be the winning combination so far. Not bad, though.
5th, 26.747.
It'll be just fine for old Blaney.
Here's one of the nice surprises of the season, Michael McDowell. It's his home race. We can see Glendale off in the distance here. And Michael finished top 10 in 3 of the last 5 races here. Finished a season best 5th at COTA. But for the final caution, in the fuel mileage part of the Daytona 500, he might have ended up in victory lane again.
Well, a lot of pressure right now. Your teammates are 4th and 7th, so the expectation is for this car to be right up there with them.
Suarez 4th, Hocevar 7th. Good launch.
Oh, gosh. Got a little greedy in the center of the corner. So easy to do down there.
Yeah, and it's such, you know, the 22 car of Logano, he shot that thing in the corner and really just was able to straighten it out and use that diamond to carry the speed and take advantage of just holding that mile per hour a little bit longer than the other guys. And that's,
I think it helped
really
his
paid
exit
off
too.
for him with that diamond on the exit, for sure.
McDowell ends up 15th for now, 26.862. 3 cars to go. Chase Elliott won the championship here in 2020 with a victory. Top 10 finish in the last 3 races at Phoenix.
And you see his teammates, Kyle Larson, William Byron, 2nd and 8th.
He's way up the racetrack on purpose, trying to make this straightaway as long as possible. We'll see. Bet you he comes out pretty good. Yep, right there with him.
And you see Logano just took a little bit higher line through that dogleg, but the way that he was able to dive into that corner, still get that left front to the line, and then diamond that mid part of the corner.
I think Elliott tried to diamond the corner up a little bit. You could tell he consciously let that thing have its head a little bit trying to diamond, but just
had to lift.
Wouldn't get it back down the hill quite as much as Logano.
Yeah, he was going to hit the fence if he didn't lift off the gas right there.
24th. 26.956.
Those lifts cost you dearly in these cars, don't they?
Shane Van Gisbergen, 5th in the point standings. Top 10s in the last 2 races. He has 2 Phoenix starts.
Well, definitely got some work to do from practice. He was 31st in practice, so got to make a big improvement right here to get a decent starting spot for Shane. Had a great start to the season, led in every race that we've had so far. So doing all the things that he needs to do on the ovals, but this is a short one, Clint. Doing some short track racing here.
Little different oval. Fantastic, as we knew he would be last week in COTA. Did a good job wrapping the bottom of the corner, but again, that diamond that Logano had, you could tell when he got to the gas, he stayed with it, never checked up. And anybody that wraps the bottom down there in 1 and 2 pays that price.
17th at a 26.878.
That's a good pickup for him, and that's what he needs to do, is put himself in the front half of this field to be able to have those top 15 finishes.
Last driver is Tyler Reddick, who started the season with an unprecedented 3 wins. Right now, there's only 1 Toyota in the top 10. That is Denny Hamlin at 26.819, about a 1/4 second off the pole.
This is so reminiscent of last weekend, though. Struggled in practice. Kevin and I were all over it. Where are these Toyotas at? And all of a sudden, boom, he sat on the pole, and the rest was history last weekend, making it the first 3 in a row. Can we go for 4 in a row? It's going to be because of a good qualifying effort.
Well, it's going to be tough. The last time he was on the racetrack, he was backwards, spun out. So,
what'd you tell me? Have a short memory.
That's right. Very similar to that 22 car right there.
Well, he's on pace to be the fastest Toyota. Where will he land?
Up the racetrack right there, just missed it on the entry to the corner.
And he will be the quickest Toyota, 8th, 26.787.
I think that costs him 3 or 4 spots at least right there on the exit of 4.
So David Malukas for IndyCar, Joey Logano for NASCAR. Team Penske sweeps the poles for both big races at Phoenix this weekend.
And that's trouble for
That
the
is
competition. Putting that car on the pole at this racetrack, look out.
34th career pole for Joey Logano. It'll be a Ford Chevy front row tomorrow. Regan.
Well, that's right, Mike. Joey Logano, for the 3rd time in Phoenix in his career, will lead the field of green. Great weekend so far for Penske, celebrating, of course, the 60th anniversary this entire season. And it's always good in the race, but evidently it's good in qualifying too?
I think so. Obviously, it was good for qualifying. I thought we were pretty good in the long run too, but he said a really special weekend for Team Penske, celebrating our 60th, and we got Scott McLaughlin's Bathurst 1000 winner paint scheme, so it looks cool. He won a lot of races that year in the same paint scheme, so maybe we should keep this one all the time. I'm not sure, but feel good about that. Cool for Team Penske. Malukas got the IndyCar pole, and then so we're able to sweep the poles at least here so far, and hopefully we can do it more in the race. It matters a lot more then.
As we think ahead to the race, more horsepower, Joey, what do you anticipate? It sounded like a lot of guys maybe struggling with handling in practice earlier today. What do you anticipate tomorrow?
It's pretty fun. It's slick. I don't think anybody's car feels good. I told my team that. I said, I don't really feel good, but we've got decent pace. So that's good for racing, right? I've already seen cars starting to wander up the racetrack, trying to find grip anywhere they can. And when you add 10 degrees or so tomorrow, it's going to be even slicker. And yeah, we're going to be screaming for tires probably every chance you can, because it's pretty slick out here.
Larry, I love it when the drivers say it's fun and it's slick. It's going to be exciting tomorrow.
Oh, yes, it will. I'm here with Kyle Larson. Kyle finally got that first top 10 last week at COTA. Good way to start this 1-mile racetrack on the outside the front row.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good to qualify better. My confidence was not very high after practice, but yeah, we typically, I feel like, qualify decent here. So, yeah, happy with it. I haven't seen, where I lost some time, but I definitely missed my marks a little bit, through both ends of the racetrack. But still, to be on the front row, it says a lot about our team and the fight we had after practice, because, yeah, like I said, we were a bit lost, or at least I felt like we were lost. So, yeah, good. Just, yeah, now go to work overnight, try to learn what I can, talk to teammates, see what they felt, and try to get our car a bit better, quite a bit better for the race tomorrow, and see if we can keep the Penske cars within range.
So, Kyle, you ran a number of laps in practice. A lot of drivers are talking about they are feeling this added horsepower. What do you think about the 80 more horsepower for this race tomorrow?
Yeah, I was surprised about that. I haven't really felt the power in the road courses that I've done. I did a test last year and then COTA last week, and I didn't really feel the power at all. But yeah, as soon as I got on the throttle today, I was like, okay, we're definitely going faster down the straightaway. And then my car was just really bad in practice, but I felt like I was slipping and sliding a lot more. So I think, if we can get our balance better, I think you'll still feel the power down the straightaway, but I think the corners will feel similar. But I would assume, yeah, tire management would be a little bit, harder to handle. But yeah, overall it felt good. I was happy with the power increase and feeling like you could actually tell some speed difference into turn 1.
All right, hey, Clint, you maybe can grab Kyle. He's running an IndyCar around this 1-mile racetrack. Give you some pointers.
Well, I wonder if he can help me how to fit in the thing, first of all.
Well,
he's about 2 feet shorter than I am.
We don't even give Clint a steering wheel, so he just needs to sit back there and be entertaining.
You're going to tell me to sit back here and shut up?
I said be entertaining.
I'm going to be trying to keep everything in control.
All right, Clint goes for a ride in the 2-seater in the Good Ranchers 250 here at Phoenix, and that is coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Then racing from the desert continues on this one-of-a-kind weekend with NASCAR Cup Racing pre-race coverage, 3 p.m. Eastern on FS1, followed by the Straight Talk Wireless 500 at 3:30 tomorrow on FS1. Penske Fords 1st, 3rd, and 5th. Chevrolets 2, 4, and 6. Reddick the fastest Toyota in 8th. Thanks for watching NASCAR on Prime, where we'll have practice and qualifying coverage each week through the first half of the NASCAR season. Join us next Saturday, 2:30 Eastern Time from Las Vegas for another practice and qualifying. And don't forget, the newest season of Full Speed is now available exclusively on Prime. Stream the new episode now.